Okay, Martin, we are.
Okay. I'll call the meeting to order at 5:45 p.m.
All right, roll call. Chair Martin Gilmore.
Here.
Vice Chair Kyle Conrad. Here. Catalina Johnson. Here. Erica Friesel. Here. Leah Moran.
Here.
Stacy Potash is not present. Shane Smith.
Oh, Stacy's here.
Oh, Stacy just arrived. Alternate Angelica Delorio. Welcome. And Councilmember Chelsea Munich.
Present.
Absent, we have Inglewood's Liaison Emily Ancona. Yeah, we have Director Christina Underhill, Library and Cultural Arts Manager Bethany Lafferty, Event Supervisor Tony Arnoldy, and guest we have Tim Dodd, Deputy City Manager.
Great. Okay, moving on to the approval of the minutes from last meeting. We have a motion to approve.
The minutes from
Okay,
July.
I'll motion to approve it.
Yeah, second.
I'll
All in-
second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Moving on to new business, crosswalks and signal wraps with Deputy City Manager Tim Dodd.
Great, well, thank you. So I think a few of you came to me a couple months ago. I think a few of you may not have been here, may not have been members, so congratulations if you've become a member in that short time. I don't want to take too much of your time tonight, but I do want to do, if it's okay with the chair, kind of a 2 or 3 minute overview of the program and kind of how we got here, and then we'll launch into the prioritization. So one of the things we talked about when I was here a few months ago is that public art, and obviously there's a lot of forms of that, there's studies that have shown that there's positive impacts as it relates to safety, place safety, feelings of safety, economic development. One of my favorite hobbies is to travel. And when I've traveled other places, usually when I go into a neighborhood and I see art, that kind of fits into kind of this overall feeling of like, oh, this seems like it's a cool neighborhood and a place I want to be. And so a couple of years ago, in 2019, I believe, or 2020, this committee and some other departments in the city started working on a project called Creative Crosswalks and Signal Wraps. And it was a pilot program. I think there were a couple of signal wraps that came out of it and 2 different crosswalks. These 2 components are ones that we're seeing more and more across the world, actually across the US. There's some really cool ones. There's studies that have shown specifically with the crosswalks that they've had positive impacts on pedestrian and vehicle safety and things like that. But we were looking at kind of our funding for placemaking and realizing, hey, you know, we did this pilot, let's see if we could do a 2.0 version. So we came and we got support from this committee to move forward with that. I want to thank several staff members that played a key role in this. 2 folks to my right and left, Severa and Christina Underhill, as well as Steve Ortega in the Public Works Department, who was our project manager for this, and then several folks, particularly Amanda Arns in our communications department. But we did a call for artists. It was very well spread, I guess, around the community. We had 28 applications we had 28 applications for the traffic signal wraps, and then we had 8 for the crosswalks. So we've decided to just focus on the signal box wraps for now for 2 reasons. Number 1, because of the volume that we got for applications and the interest and the overall quality. Number 2, the crosswalks have been quoted as significantly higher than we expected. We expected, you know, inflation happened from 2020 until now. We expected them to go up, but they went up significantly. One quote that we got was about $56,000 for one. Another one was $38,000 for one, up from I think about $9,000 or $10,000 4 years ago. So we're still working with vendors to kind of figure that out, but we thought for now to kind of launch the program, we would focus on the signal wraps. So we had a lot of folks internally who worked on these. Our traffic engineer looked at them. Our partner agency, the Inglewood Downtown Development Authority, EDDA, which has oversight over different aspects of a large piece of our downtown area, looked at them as well. And so of the 28, we brought 26 to you, and we're asking you tonight to basically prioritize them. We have funding for several. I think our target number was around 10 to 15. If there's 16 this committee really wants to put up, that wouldn't be a problem. And so after we get your feedback tonight, we have an internal staff meeting on Friday, and that's when we're going to figure out where it would make sense for them to go. If there's any back and forth we need to do with the artist, we'll start that process. And then Steve, as I mentioned, our project manager, has already been in touch with our vendor, Harmonic Media, which is a local company. And so we want to, as soon as we get your okay, we want to get started quickly. And the idea is that they would be installed over the summer through September. And then we would like to do, if you're amenable to it, some kind of event with the CAC in the fall to kind of acknowledge the artist and acknowledge the program. We'd like to build a website around it. We'd like to have QR codes at each of them so it's not just, in some places I've been, in Denver being one of them, it's like you kind of drive by them and you're like, they're maybe not taken care of all the time and they don't really fit maybe into the fabric of that neighborhood. You're kind of like, why is this? Why is it here? We don't want that to happen here. We want them to be a part of a program and part of an overall feeling of the place. Any questions?
Is this stuff we voted on?
It is.
Yeah, so
I have a question. When you say part of a program, part of a place, how are we balancing, or how do you think the balance is right now between open calls for art and letting artists create what they want versus kind of having more of a theme to some of this work?
great question. So when I was here last time, I kind of engaged CAC to find out if there was kind of like, the group had like a vision around kind of what they'd like to see. And it seemed like in the past it was more open. I think having kind of more of a theme, I think could certainly help in the future. Absolutely. We did provide, and the EDDA helped obtain these. There's kind of national standards around public art. And so we did provide those in the call to artists. So they weren't as tied to like, we have a theme around diversity or a theme around the history of Inglewood. I think we may have mentioned some concepts or some ideas in part of it, but we did provide those design standards that are like, we're looking for things that fit with the culture, with the history, diversity. But yeah, I do think, having kind of a vision would help maybe artists know kind of what to look for in terms of what they're responding to. Member Noonan Kim, one other thing we could do is if we go through the rankings tonight and there maybe are artists that you really liked, but there's more of a theme that you want to see, we could always have a back and forth with the artists on even maybe asking them to consider changing some of the pieces they submitted, or asking them to maybe come up with some new concepts. That's totally fine if that's the direction you want it to go.
That's really helpful, Tim. And I would just say to this group, you guys are really the stakeholders of the public art that we experience in Inglewood and our cultural spaces. And I wonder, as you're making decisions around median projects and signal boxes and these different things, is that something that you are interested in thinking about? What is the kind of theme or the vision we have for public art in the city? Do we want to highlight our history? Do we want to highlight our future? What are those things? I think that could be something interesting if you guys decide you want to pursue that. That becomes then a lens you make all your future decisions through to build some cohesion across the city. So that might be something that you guys want to consider. That's interesting too.
I think it kind of lost momentum, did lose momentum during COVID, but we had like a art strategic plan that had been started, and it never really followed through just because of turnover and stuff. But I think there was if I remember right, one of the things was like they put up together like a word cloud type thing with different ideas of themes and stuff. So maybe we can go back to that and I'll put it on the agenda so we can have a discussion.
Well, and I think themes, I think they're good as guides, but they also have to be loose, right? Because with art, we don't want to have such a theme that's what holds us to only that type of art always and forever. Or we're the history town, so everything's historical. There's a fine dance, but I think it is interesting to maybe have a theme per call. And I definitely, with the median art, I love reading the narratives that the artists give us. I love thinking about why they created that piece and why they're choosing to submit it to us. And then actually today I was reading through the Denver Student Art Leagues. They just did a call in Westwood for in their plot on Morrison. They were doing a call for that area to like highlight it. And the call was really interesting because it was like, we want it to represent the culture in the neighborhood of Westward and talk about how we got here. And I thought that was a really cool call. And so just kind of thinking about like how we want a call to look, but have it be loose so we can have lots of interpretations and kind of decide, you know, so we're not so tied to one idea that we can't choose fun stuff that does make our city fun and whimsical. I'm always going for whimsical.
Well, I think it's interesting if you even wanted to consider not necessarily a theme, but maybe a vision or values. You know, we want to prioritize Colorado artists, or we want to prioritize color, or a diversity of the artists. You know, all these things you can decide to help you guide your investments.
I think since I've been on this committee, one of our guiding principles has always been to support Inglewood artists, number one and foremost. Second has been to support Denver Metro artists, and then kind of going out from there.
Yeah.
So I do think that is a guiding, at least for me, having been on this committee, that's a priority, but I totally agree with you. Like,
how do you want to articulate it and make that a thing?
Yeah.
I think placement's a really big thing too. I think we can also look, like, I love the fact that, you know, where the Gothic is, which is such a historical part of Inglewood, like right across is a very, you know, music themed art around one of the utility boxes. And so I think that's a really great piece to also fall into, is not necessarily it has to be, you know, look the same everywhere, but it's just like it makes sense. It makes sense for that area. So I think that's a thing that we can also bring into play.
That's cool, something that matches the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, those cultural descriptions are so important, you know.
Yeah, so really, so we had 26, and Debbie's gonna pull up the ranking, so it's really your call how you wanna handle this. We're happy to help, guide it of course, and certainly we're open tonight to recommendations around ideas where you think they may go in the city, if there's negotiations you'd like us to enter into with the artists. Yeah, so thanks Debbie put quite a bit of time today into organizing them in this easy to go through chart, photo chart. So do you want to talk quickly about the ranking?
So we've got them ranked 1 through 1, 2, 3. 1 being the first ranking, or the first choice, highest ranking. I'll say it that way. There are 2 ties, the 6 and 21. So do we want to just go like one by one, and you guys can say, yes, I like that, or no, I have some concerns about it? We'll kind of.
These are in order of the ones that received the most votes.
So we do, yeah,
Or
we
that
have
were
all of
moved to
them.
the top. Yeah.
How would you like
Yeah,
to?
so really, yeah, so I guess it would be, yes, we'd like to move forward with this, no, we wouldn't. And then if yes, there could also be your recommendations on a part of the city you'd like to see it in, or there could also be a recommendation to us to work with the artist to maybe change something or reconsider something.
How many are we looking at?
So you're looking, there were 26 that were included.
How many?
Yeah, our target for this first round was 10 to 15, but that being said, it's very flexible. If there's only 5 that you really want to see, we could do 5. If there's 17 or 18, we could do that many.
Do you want me to first kind of scroll through so you can kind of see where things are, and then we can go back to the top, and would that help?
I think that sounds good.
Can we also maybe, do we have a map of where these are gonna go?
Yeah, so we will be, we kind of talked through this. It's a great question. Talked through this at the staff level. We are Steve, so we have a system called Cartograph that tracks all the city's assets. So we went into it, and I want to say there were like 4, either of you would know, but I think it was like in the 40s.
Yeah.
The number 48, maybe, the number of boxes. And so he worked with a traffic engineer to kind of determine maybe some that wouldn't work because they were far out, or maybe some that were badly damaged. And so we basically have certain ones, which are probably around 40 that are possibilities. So we need to look at a bunch of other factors to determine where they're gonna go. So I think the input we'd like from you tonight is like, I don't know, I'm thinking about that ship, right? Oh, if there's one near a water feature in the city, we'd like to see that near water feature. So that's the kind of
Okay.
input that would help tonight.
All right, so the first one was North American bison. Then 2, 3, 4, there's 5. And if you want me to enlarge any of these, let me know. So this and this were a tie. Road trip and in the park.
And that's the same artist, right?
It was.
So that's another factor to consider as well. You'll see some artists that submitted possibly 3 pieces of art that are ranked high. So it's another decision to make. Do you want to move with all their pieces or just pick one to move forward with at this point?
So we'll continue through the list. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so that's 15. And then there are these in order. So if you do see any on these below that you do like, we can go back and look. And this was the last one.
Those number 6s with the 2, so from the same artist, the tied.
Yes.
I like the colorful one better than the. I like the prairie one, but I like that color.
In the park.
In the park, yeah. I like them both, but I think that would be an argument of maybe not have 2 from the same artist and have another artist opportunity.
I agree with that, actually. I like the color, and I prefer only having, like, picking a different artist.
That's something we had discussed when we were doing the media and art. It's the, we liked the colorful stuff. And it seems like we kind of chose stuff that already had color to make the neighborhoods more colorful. And especially with light boxes, I feel like that's a good opportunity for that. So we want to, does anybody prefer the road trip one to the in the park one? It's okay if you do.
I like the in the park one too.
Yeah.
I feel like the colors are nice.
I like them both, but it'd be good to give another opportunity. So if we were going to replace one of those with one from below, do we just want to go in and continue to go in order and take the next one that after number 15? And number 16, which is the one with the faces.
Those look like they might be by the same artist as
Yeah,
well.
so there's 3 that
Oh.
ranked high that are by the same artist.
Oh.
Those 2 that are together, right?
Bison in the ship.
The bison and the ship, the same artist? Those are 2 different artists with them.
The like really wide ones are those.
Yeah.
I was just thinking of that. That's too wide.
It's in the trial.
Okay.
Do you,
Go to the ones, the long ones, that is the same artist. That one right there,
okay.
I mean,
and
Harmony,
with the bird
And the
one.
birds.
and those
And
2 right
this
there.
person changes.
I like the flowers and I like the birds. The butterflies is good too, but.
I like the birds, but I just have a bias towards birds, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, number 5.
I don't want to be rude to this artist because I think that they're really beautiful, but they do somewhat look a little bit AI generated to me. And I don't know if they are, and I don't know what we feel about that. But I'm just curious if that's okay, and also if this artist did create them on their own and didn't use like AI generation. I just am concerned about the legality of utilizing that, if that is how they generated them. But it's also entirely possible that they're, digital paintings, which is cool.
I'm always drawn to the ones with more color too.
Yeah.
I do like the number 5.
Number 7, the one with butterflies and leaves. Do we want to move that one out too and choose someone different since it's the same artist? Do we want to move 2 of those out since it's the same artist? I like the birds a lot and I like the flowers a lot. Those are
Yeah, the birds and the flowers match each other. So.
I like the idea of only doing one for each artist, just to continue to have diversity in the city and get more artists out there.
Okay. Should we take the leaves and the birds out then and keep the higher rated one?
That's my preference.
Okay.
Do we want to get clarification if this is AI or
Yeah.
if this was
I think that's
like graphic design type of design?
Well, and I don't know if that's a problem. I think that it's just kind of like, as a commission, what do we feel about that? We haven't really had a chance to talk about that.
Big philosophical questions.
There, I don't believe there was anything prohibiting it in the call.
Yeah. It's just depending also on the software that it's created in. Sometimes they have limitations on like how you can use them, if you can be paid for them or if they can be
Interesting.
printed. So that might be something to just look into.
Interesting. Okay. So in that case, are there any other, I don't know if you know Debbie or Christina, are there any other repeated artists in the top?
I think 10
Okay.
and 13 and 17
Yeah.
are by the same.
10 and 13. Okay, so can you go back up to number 10? Oh, cool.
I really like 10.
Yeah, I like 10.
I would like to keep 10. And I think it would be awesome downtown Inglewood.
Yeah.
Also, as a huge print on
Cool.
Yeah, totally.
So we drop number 13 then? And 17's a no.
13 and 17.
Yeah. I'm halfway keeping track of it too. In that case, so we've dropped 3, 4, 4. Do we want to go with the next 4 other than we can't do 17?
I wasn't sure. The bison and the
That's what I'm
ship.
trying to find, yeah.
Okay,
Oh, there it is.
I should have pulled that up. I mean, I can still. I
So when you
think
give
there's
drive to the city or the park?
like addresses and all that on the
Oh,
the screen. That's my thought.
Can we look at 16, 18, 19, and 20?
Okay, so 16, all our kids. 18. 19.
Do people like number 16? The faces?
Sorry,
That's okay.
okay, 16.
Can you tell us about like the 2 different squares? Like, are they imagining the smaller one as separate? With the
I think it's because the box has multiple places and I wonder if it's just ribbed around that.
Okay.
Let me try that again.
I don't know for sure, it's just a guess,
Oh, what does
but
it
I
say up there?
wondered if that was maybe the top.
Debbie,
Yeah,
what does that
top
say?
of box.
Top of the box, okay. And the other one's
okay,
on the top.
okay, so around the edge.
I think I would be more into the faces if they were faces of Inglewood, maybe.
They are, they're abstract.
Abstract faces. I don't know.
That's cool.
Do we have to go further? Like, can we just pick 12 or 10?
You could pick 4. Yeah, we don't want, we had a rough estimate, but we don't want to do 10 just for the sake of doing 10.
Right.
Okay, do we want to do that instead of moving on and?
I'm not loving anything at the end
Okay.
here.
Yeah,
That's just my personal.
Do we want to do
Okay.
fewer than what's there, or do we like?
Let me go back up to the top and
Yeah.
then,
And we're still asking the question if those two are the same artist, right? We still don't know if 1 and 2 might be
I
the same.
don't know that they are, I think I just, yeah.
We clearly
I don't
really
think
like
those two are the
those.
same.
One has a title, the other is
Really?
untitled, I would be surprised if that was.
Okay, so those are different, okay.
okay, so there's 1, 2.
I guess just kind of starting from the top, because these are the top rated. So for number 1, do you have a definitive yes that you want to see it? And then if so, do you have any suggestions on where it should go, or if there should be any changes considered to it?
I don't think it needs changed. Where could it go? Do we have a big open grassy area?
I was almost thinking like the Forest Hill neighborhood, is there like a box there?
Cool.
Where are the orchards?
Okay,
My neighborhood was Orchard.
good. Do
And
we like that one?
What's my neighborhood called?
Cool. The ship?
Pirates Cove,
Oh, yeah.
Pirates Cove,
It's just like-
perfect.
Although, and the future splash pad goes in.
Oh,
Yeah, Miller. Well, we'll have more traffic. I don't think there's a traffic box by Miller.
Okay.
yeah. That's a good
Missing.
Pirates Cove.
That'd be fun for Paris.
Right. Trees, abstract trees.
Now this might be fun on,
Forest Hill.
around Broadway Heights, because that was the orchards.
Okay,
And then the sanctuary, at the Swedish sanctuary and TV houses were in there, so there's 10 houses around that area that were part of the sanctuary.
cool. Number 4.
Okay. Mulberries.
Doesn't feel that specific to me.
Yeah,
It could go
that one
anywhere.
could go anywhere.
Or
Anywhere?
did you say anywhere? What if we asked the artists to do, I don't know, I was reading about the whole carnations around Colorado. Because carnations were, Inglewood was a huge exporter of carnations to the White House, and we're kind of known for that before it ended, which is kind of a sad, tragic history in itself. But maybe those flowers, we could ask them to do carnations instead of, I don't know, they kind of look like poppies to me, but.
Do we have one downtown that's carnations?
We do, but it's very, like, they would be pretty different. And it doesn't have to be a theme of history. My mind's just on history right now.
It's on Broadway, Inglewood Parkway, the Carnation.
Cool. Any preferences of place if they change it or if they don't?
And I guess this one's still questionable on the AI one. How do we feel if it is AI? Do we keep it or let it go if they say, yes, it was AI generated?
I think it's fine as long as it's legally okay with whatever program it was. And it probably isn't, honestly. I just want to make sure because I do a lot of this kind of artwork and it's just sometimes you can just sort of see it. It doesn't mean that it is, but.
Okay.
Okay. Should we put a question mark, a pin in that one?
Yeah, maybe pin it and we'll come back to it once we know more info, just to maybe as a committee think more deeply about that.
Right. Number 6, the other number 6
In the park?
in the park, yeah.
This would be fun near a park.
Yeah.
Any park. Any park.
Number 9.
I have to be honest, I'm not in love with this for Inglewood. It's fun Western, but it like feels very Utah to me. You know, like
I
you
like
don't
that it's got the cartoon cowboy.
it is fun. It just makes me feel like it belongs like more in Salt Lake.
Yeah.
But,
I am curious about talking more about what Chelsea mentioned about kind of trying to find some sort of like thing that we really want, because if we're picking all of these and they feel very different and we only have 10 more to choose total and like make really specific through the next few years, then we have to be very, very clear for the next ones. Like, do we want to pull back? I'm for pulling back potentially to like 6 or 7 to leave room for a little bit more discussion and a little bit more intentionality. Because I feel like we were all very clear on the top 6 to 7 of really enjoying them. But that's just what I think. So.
well, and the other one, the number 10 does feel, I don't know, if we go down one more.
I'm more down.
I'm with Stacey. I don't know, something about this makes me think of Inglewood and its quirkiness. And so I think I like that one because it's quirky and it reminds me of the city. And for me, it's probably a Broadway piece or like somewhere where there's development, or even maybe Opera Colorado could be kind of fun. But it's fun, you know? And so and it's not to say I don't like the Western one, I just can't think of the connection.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Should we put that one aside?
Okay.
So I think those are my top, and then I feel the same way, like those would be the ones I'd want to go through on this round and then have more intention around the next round.
7.
I'll feel very Inglewood.
That
Top ones.
it seems like we like the colorful ones, and that seems to be a thing that folks are kind of geared towards. I like the colorful murals, and it's something
They all kind of have a nature sort of feeling, which sort of ties them together in a way.
an outdoor sort of thing.
Yeah, like those people are clearly walking up.
Cool.
But I did appreciate some of the abstract interpretations, like the one that didn't make it as high of the mountains in the abstract I thought was fun and would really pop on a box somewhere because it to me represented Colorado in a different kind of way. Yeah, that one I thought was kind of like Colorado in an abstract take on it.
Now, this is the same artist as the
The walking people.
Yeah, so we can't,
Because
yeah.
they're all mixed.
Yeah, so I'd rather go with this one.
Okay, so 7.
Yeah,
Yeah, can we do that?
Okay.
great.
Yeah, we can certainly check in with you too, but, so we roughly have, not that we have to have one in every box, we have about 40 boxes that we can work with. These also are relatively inexpensive, and we do have more money set aside for placemaking, so we could theoretically, if you want, in the fall, to kind of develop a theme for a second call, and then to launch one in like October or something, we could definitely do that. Really up to you about how you,
Okay.
you don't have to decide tonight either.
Yeah,
but,
we'll have some thinking time to like maybe put together these vision.
Does does the communications depart, I don't know, they've come in here a few times, do they have some strong ideas of themes that they've been thinking about, just because they've come and presented to us? And I'm curious if the city has some ideas of what they, or
Yeah, I mean, I think
recommendations,
the,
not that I'm saying you have to,
Yeah, I mean, the Downtown Development Authority is doing one around carnations and flowers, kind of on some murals behind some buildings downtown. That they're also, their theme is kind of the history of the carnations, as you mentioned, but then also kind of trying to draw the line between a lot of the local artists and crafters that we have in the downtown area. So that's kind of one theme I've seen emerging. With our placemaking initiatives, we have the theme of the Wooded Nook, I believe. Yeah, I mean, I think there's more we want to try to do to, with Inglewood's history. I think there's a lot of Native American history that we're really kind of just trying to focus on now. Obviously, there's a museum now that could be a good partner downstairs. helping to think through some of this.
You mentioned that maybe there's a map of where these are.
Yeah, so we do have a map. Yeah, so that's
If we could get that, because then maybe we
Sure.
can say, hey, if we can get some that like, there's a bunch by the parks, there's a bunch by, and we can say maybe 4 that have. Sort of
I'll just add to what Tim's saying since you were kind of asking. We had this conversation in council and staff around what is like a community-wide identity that we want to reinforce. And the thing that everyone always says is like, Inglewood is so quirky, it's so unique. And so how do we think about that? So that's where uniquely Inglewood came from. And in the same way that it's like keep Boston weird, it's like keep Inglewood quirky. How do we kind of lean into that? And so uniquely Inglewood is meant to not only acknowledge it, but to like celebrate that we're not like Dumbo, we're not like Littleton. And so that's something else that you guys could kind of be thinking about in some of your vision casting.
I like it.
Okay, should we go with those? Those 7? I have number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, second, number 6, number 10.
How would you feel about maybe a quick check-in at the October meeting around status update on the installation, whether you'd like to do some kind of event, and whether you'd like to do a second round and what that would look like?
That'd be awesome.
And also, since I haven't heard from Redline, we do have that money set aside for an event of some sort.
Okay.
So that could be used maybe for this instead.
Are they still not here yet?
I don't know, I just haven't heard. I emailed.
They're here. They had their first event, I guess, on Saturday night. There's art in there now being displayed. Fentismo is kind of the curator, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word, but yeah, so I think that they just kind of wanted to get in and get some stuff going. They have that exhibit going through, I want to say October. But I can definitely connect you with, his name is Tony, so very easy for me to remember. But yeah, I don't know anything about like set hours or when you can go and do, you know, look at stuff. But when I find some more information, I'll definitely introduce you so that you guys can definitely be talking.
Yeah, it'd be great because I've emailed twice and I haven't gotten any replies after I had a fair amount of communication, and then I haven't heard, and I even emailed being like, we still have some funds, like if you're interested in creating a proposal, we'd love to celebrate you coming to Inglewood. So yeah, if you want to reach out to them, that would be great. Okay. See if they want that. If not, we should.
Yeah, because I kind of did the same, like here's all my events if any of the artists want to be there, and I know it's just been a lot trying to find the funding to get the space to a place where they want to display stuff. So totally. I think you'll start hearing more from them. So.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, let's check back in at the October meeting and we can probably figure out how to do it. We'll figure something out. Maybe we do it there. Cool. Any other discussion of the crosswalks and signal wraps? All right, thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
All right, on to old business, meeting and art update.
Want me to?
Yeah, go for it.
Well, I'll start with the really exciting news. The Lunar Hampton, I've had several very positive conversations with the artist. He's very knowledgeable working with CDOT. He has been involved with a very large, about $500,000 project with City of Wheat Ridge. He too said with CDOT, there is a lot of going back and forth. He said they still haven't even started that project because of CDOT. That CDOT will request information, they submit it, CDOT then will have more questions and all that. So he goes, it's very common what we're dealing with CDOT. They are too. He is really excited working with this project and all that. He does have some concerns with the median. He talked about a clear zone. That with the one with Wheat Ridge, they need to have a 10-foot clear zone. I did talk to our traffic engineer. He feels that their project is different, that it is not something that probably would apply to our project. But he said, you know, we can get more information and he will clarify. The artist Steve Chapman has shared some information and all that we can use for our application with CDOT. So contract has been put through, city attorney has approved it, has a few changes, and then that will go to him to sign. And then we'll start moving in that direction, but it's going pretty quickly and very smoothly, so. I think anything else I forgot with that one.
I think that's it, that one, yeah.
So with Rainbow Point, still communicating with the artist. We have provided a contact for a structural engineer to see if they could help with that stamp of approval. She reached out to them. They initially reached out, said the engineers were on vacation, that they would reach out. She said they have not. She has brought up, I'm not sure if she has questioned. The stamp of approval deals more with like bridges and overhead type stuff. She's questioning why we're having to do this for a small piece of art. So she is asking, is there another location other than, I have not responded to that yet. So I've had discussion with Christina. I mean, how do we move forward? Do I continue pushing for the stamp of approval?
Which costs more money
Yeah.
to get the stamp of approval done. It was what, $350 or $450 to get that done by an engineer. There might be an opportunity to look at the Broadway medians. They're not in CDOT right away, and find a place on the Broadway medians to place this particular piece of art. We're thinking kind of about the paseos, but there might be, let's check with traffic engineers, there might be sight lines with pedestrians crossing. That could be a challenge there, but we have more opportunity on Broadway, as well as other locations throughout the city that we may rely on you all to say, hey, I found a spot this would be really nice to place in, and give feedback on those other locations if they exist.
Christina, are there other roads with medians besides Hampton and Broadway in the city that we control?
I'm thinking of.
Mm-mm.
I think they're thinking about putting them on old Hampton, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're thinking about doing.
That's right.
But it's in the works, right?
It works, yeah,
We're always out from that.
but it'll be a while. Like this whole project was kind of just trying to put art in the medians, and now this would be the second piece that we've purchased for the median.
And I've had that discussion with Christina, that I'm like really excited to get this going and all that, and I'm getting
It's been since last year at this time.
I'm just.
It's been a year in the making just to try to get.
I want to get art in the median
Yeah.
because this is what, you know, I mean, our city manager has that vision and all that. And so I can reach out to her and see if it has to do with the cost for that. I've been very cautious about bringing up the money because I don't want to commit that, do you know what I mean? That if you don't want to pay for it, that maybe do you know what I mean? I'm careful about where I go with that conversation.
I think that just becomes the question, are we just buying sculptures to put anywhere in Englewood, or do we want to follow through with this project? And if it's not this one, if this one's not going to work, then are we then going to have to go back and find another one to put in the median?
Well, and I do, you know, with Lunar Hampton, I think with the surface, the color, the reflection, I think even that top piece, kind of that point on it. I think CDOT could be even questioning stuff like that. The piece has not been created yet. So as Steve and I have talked, that kind of gives us opportunity to adjust the piece where needed.
Yeah.
One thought with the new piece, the lunar piece, would be the Paseo area is kind of cool. And it wouldn't be on the roadway, it would be into the Paseo as people pass through, you would see it on the right or left. Initially, Communications was talking about doing the tiled mural project in there.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's some challenges with building ownership and allowing that to happen, and we were more or less told no. But this would be in the area that the city maintains, the landscaping. So that could be kind of a secondary backup. The concern on the Broadway medians with this piece is the bulkiness of the piece, again, sightlines, and that could be a challenge. So again, it's up to the commission. If you want to continue moving forward with these pieces, we have a down payment already done for Rainbow Points, but there's also a contract. We could back out. The piece was removed from Brighton, I believe, is where it was located. So it was taken out of the park there. It was on loan to Brighton. That's not really a huge concern of ours, but if we want to see that piece placed somewhere else.
I really love Rainbow Bright. I'd be sad to lose that one for Inglewood. I think it actually, I mean, I kind of have felt this for a while now that Broadway or Old Hampden would be great alternatives to 285, but that's my personal belief. And I think honestly, I think Broadway, people can appreciate it more. They're going at a slower speed than they are in Hampton. It would lively up Hampton. We need people to go slower on Broadway. We need people to go slower on Broadway, especially with that crosswalk. Like anything to slow down Broadway, especially with the new businesses going in, I think is a benefit. And to kind of add to those businesses, you know, looking that we just got, you know, I don't know, like the Tiger, the craft store. Like we've gotten some cool new stuff there, and just like enhancing that area, I think is to our benefit. But that's my personal opinion of where it could go if we don't stick with Hampden, which I know Hampden needs to be beautified, but there's a whole thing of Hampden that needs to be beautified that goes, you know, it's a bigger, you know, that's going to be ongoing.
And it's just, are we gonna bump up to this same frustration every single time that we wanna do a sculpture? Oh, we've got one, and then.
I mean, I think only if we're gonna use CDOT, if we're gonna put it on roads with CDOT, which we know Broadway, right, is not CDOT.
No.
So that's the difference, is if we don't have to get the stamps and do all the stuff, we can put these on Broadway right
Our
now.
traffic engineers will still look at it, and they may say this piece is too bulky or whatever, but there's plenty of other locations throughout the city. I mean, out here, we've had a few pieces removed from MOA has taken the pieces back and put them in other locations. And so we do have spots we could fill in.
Christina, are there spots on South Broadway in the medians that can, because I don't think they have any public art in the south
No,
part of
but
the
we
city.
do have designs in progress to redo those medians with painted art on the medians themselves, since they're flatter medians closer to the roadway. And that'd be a concern with putting a piece of art.
There's landscape there, right?
There is, and that would be part of the update to those medians, to look at doing something to brighten up South Broadway.
And do we control or manage the landscape in the roundabout on Inglewood Parkway? Down by like where the Big Lots was?
There's a
Believe
There's a
big,
piece of- there's a big
There's the
sculpture.
red
There's a
red
big
sculptures
sculpture.
the
in there.
sculpture is part
I
of,
see it
MOA.
Yeah, the lightning.
Yeah, the red piece.
I'm not against having sculptures elsewhere, but, like that, but are we gonna have to do the median art thing again, and do we just keep moving?
I think we need to come up with another art solution for the median that does not involve sculptures with CDOT approval. And I don't know quite what that is, but I think we have to maybe talk to some artists and see if there's other ways to beautify that, because I'm sure there is. It just, maybe sculptures are not the way to go because of CDOT.
The landscaping on these medians out here was done about 2.5 years ago. And so obviously that's gonna take some time to grow in and fill in. And our parks crews maintain those medians. I know they're on CDOT, but we maintain those. And so maybe it's just landscaping in those, but we look at Broadway to do something a little bit more interactive or visual.
I do like the idea of stuff on South Broadway, because, they don't
South Broadway could use it.
that much. Okay, which is the one we have in storage, the Rainbow?
Do we have?
Rainbow Point, Jody still has that piece. But we could finalize and just purchase it and figure out the rest of it.
I like that, this is just me talking, but I like the idea of the Paseo because of the idea of putting a mural there, and there's a lot of stuff going on downtown. That would be a good place to move a sculpture to. I don't know if that particular sculpture would work in that space, we'd have to look at it, I guess.
Let's take, we'll talk to the traffic engineers about both pieces, Rainbow Point and the lunar piece, and get their feedback on, can this go on the median? If not, we can find a different location and bring that proposal to you next month, just to sign off, and so that we can get these pieces. One, the lunar piece needs to be created, but he said take about 30 days.
30 to 45 days.
To complete, so by the end of the year, if we find a location, we can put it in and not have to worry about the CDOT permits, because obviously that's the biggest.
Because even Steve, the Lunar Hampton, said, he goes, I suggest, goes with what we've dealt with CDOT, he goes, I suggest that you have a backup location for my piece. Because I can't guarantee that CDOT is going to approve it.
Are we okay, I guess, and maybe I can put a motion on this, of paying for Rainbow Bright, knowing we're going to put it somewhere else without a location in mind? Are we okay moving forward with that one too, right? Because we still haven't fully paid for
We're
it.
a half down.
So it's a question of,
Because we could put it in the circle out here too.
yeah, I feel like there's enough places, and I feel like we all really love that piece. I would love to see it stay in Inglewood. Again, it makes me think of Corky. It's a Corky piece. So I would motion to keep that, to finish, pay for that piece, knowing it's not going to go on Hampton, but knowing we're going to have a place for it, and we will figure that out at another meeting.
I don't know, do we need a motion for that?
I don't know if we do because of money, but.
Oh, you've already
We've already
paid
put
for
the-
Well,
it.
half of it, but I mean, we were looking at backing out the contract, so I guess I'm just saying, please don't back out the contract.
Yeah.
I don't know if that needs a motion. Okay, cool.
Nope, you already paid for it.
Yeah, we got
We'll
it.
finish the payment, ask her to deliver it, and then we'll.
Okay. Okay, sorry, I was under the impression that it was like we could back out of that one, but maybe we're
Yeah, you
talking. just like
technically
a-
could, you could decide we don't want to move forward, but I think there's enough in
Okay.
agreement saying, keep the piece, we'll find a place for it.
And
Okay. Okay, cool.
So I guess the other side of that then is with this other median art and for the 450 engineers, what do we want to do about that? With the, what's that, sorry, what's the name of that?
Lunar
Lunar,
Hampton.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do we want to go back, do we want to continue like trying to put that piece in the median, or do we want to?
I would say since the piece has not been created, he has already offered a lot of information to help with the CDOT application, has kind of even created somewhat of an application going based off of like with the other art project and all that, what he has learned from that. So he's very eager to kind of help with that.
Okay.
So I say, let's continue with the CDOT. We've got a new traffic engineer that has also offered a lot of assistance, and I think even would be willing to meet with CDOT and us and all that. So, and even the artist has suggested even meeting with them. So I say let's continue trying.
Okay, anybody have thoughts about any of that? All right. And maybe we can explore some new ideas for what to do with the median. Or we could keep banging our head against the wall. See if anything changes.
Think
All right.
positive.
Think positive. Any other comments about median art? All right, moving on to upcoming events. CAC booth at the block party.
Great, so I'm super excited that Crafty Chassis is going to be at the block party and is going to be offering free activities for 50 to 75 people that visit her booth, so that will be exciting. And then in addition to that, we to have other activity stuff for people who maybe aren't wanting to do the crafty thing. I purchased a ton of large stencils and chalk art that I would love to propose that we have a CAC booth. We're doing something a little different this year. We're going down Girard and Inglewood Parkway, but more on Girard's side to kind of tie in with the chamber's going to be right there on Broadway at Girard, and then the alley activation from EDDA with the yarn and other stuff in the alley. And then we'll kind of like out on Girard have kind of a kid row type of thing, and internal booths, which also, those are the ones that want to stay super late. So those can kind of start shutting down at 7. They can stay all night if they want, but it kind of gives the option because there's, you don't have the hard barriers at the end too, so people can actually leave if they want, because nothing like shutting your booth down at 7, right? But you have to sit there until 11:30 or whenever Rolling still opens. So worked a lot with the police department and working with Public Works and everyone on obviously the safest way to do that. But I would love to propose that there is a CAC booth there that we can put out the stencils and the chalk, and very much made possible by CAC, or thank you to CAC. And just kind of let the kids kind of draw in the stencils with the chalk and
On the
have
street.
fun on the street. My biggest thing is I don't have anyone to like volunteers or anyone to staff that booth, so I was hoping that maybe you guys would maybe want to staff that booth, just to kind of let people know, hey, take a stencil and.
From what time till?
4 to 7.
So I'm out of town that day, otherwise
I'm also out of town most of that day, so I could do it possibly in the late evening, but I hate to commit until I know when I'm getting back from northern Colorado.
What day is it again?
Saturday,
The
26th, not
24th,
24th, not this weekend, next weekend.
2 weeks from the Saturday.
I'll be at a wedding, unfortunately, so I won't be out of town.
I'll be around, but I'll be at another booth mostly, so I can pop in for like an hour or so if needed.
Reese might be willing to do some time if I text her.
What?
Reese might be willing to do some time
Oh, yeah,
if I text her.
You can text her and if she, and let her know, let Tony know.
Yeah, I will, because she had texted me asking if we were gonna have a booth, and I said I wasn't sure yet, so I could text her and see.
Yeah, maybe we could drum up some staff even if it's not us. 'Cause I would be there the whole time, but I'm out of town. Sorry.
And I am not worried about like things being broken or stolen or anything like that, just more, I did submit a request to communications today that they do 24/36 thank you CAC type of thing, or made possible by Cultural Arts Commission. And I asked them to create 11/17 or larger QR code that people could find out more about Cultural Arts Commission, and then it would go straight to your guys' site. So just kind of that type of thing, and people are like, what is this, or who, kind of thing, and it's like, oh, it's just a free interactive activity for you guys to do, take a stencil, and there are flowers and caterpillars and butterflies, the kind of the theme with going from the EDTA thing and Inglewood flowers, right? And so, but yeah, I just don't have staff to staff it or volunteers to staff it, so that's where I'm at.
And the main times you would need, like in years past, we really just did like that 4 to 7, right? When we staffed it, because it was really just the kiddo,
And that's what it would be.
the family time.
That's
right?
exactly.
That's why it's on that kid row.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, Tony, I can do 4 to 7 on the 29th.
Whoa,
Yay!
yay.
Sorry, I was like, I need someone to ask what time it is, and I'm too embarrassed to ask because I'm pretty sure.
And I'm sorry, I thought I said that, but yeah, so 4 to 7.
I'm putting
you
it
guys
on my
can
calendar.
Stay as late as you want, and it will pretty much be set up So you just have to come to it. I'll
Okay.
have a tent, table, chairs.
I'll get there a little early and try to so I can find it.
Yay, Leah, thank you.
Perfect.
And
Yeah,
Leah,
no problem.
if I can get back from Northern Colorado by 6, I'll try to relieve you at 6.
Cool, then I can go get something to eat.
Yeah, okay. I'll try to be there at 6. I know I can't be
Okay.
there.
Leah, I
That's
might
fine.
be able to go for like an hour.
See, now
so.
you guys want to come.
You got the party started, Leah.
Exactly.
We just want to see you.
Yeah.
I'm going to quote you on that.
Okay, well, that would be amazing. Like I said, I'll have it all set up. I just didn't have anyone to staff it. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
And then Crafty Jessie will also be at, so she was at the last market. She won't be there on Saturday. She had a budget conflict, but she'll be at the block party and she'll be at the tree lighting. So that's
Great.
what the interactive funds are going for. So thank you again for your support on that.
Great. Moving on to staff's choice.
No updates. Beth, do you have any updates from the library?
Sorry, I can't navigate this on my phone, but no, I don't have any updates from the library.
Thank you. Commissioner's choice.
I have just a couple photos to share. We've mentioned a couple times the paseo and the alleyway with all the yarn and everything, but it's all done and it's looking fantastic. It's so cute. So it's called Flower Pop and it's all kind of based around the idea that we are Carnation City as Inglewood. So that's from Broadway. And then the other side you can kind of see if you walk down behind Digibowl, Lady Fancy Work Society kind of down on the left on the building. And then Andrea Fisher is the fiber artist. And then Katie Casper and Robin Francis did the really cool mural. And if you really like go up to it and or zoom into it, you can see that it's also painted to look like it's made of fiber. So that's really cool to tie it.
That's cool.
And they also did outside of Red Line too. The Lady Fancy Society did the that work out here, so you can see it right outside this building.
It looks awesome all together.
What's the
It's so
fabric?
colorful.
What's the fabric? Like, what's gonna hold outside?
Yarn. So they'll take it down eventually. I think it's up until October, November or something. So
Okay.
that part will leave eventually
Okay.
because it will not probably survive.
I was gonna say, I'm really impressed that there's fabric.
Yeah.
How's that gonna hold?
Yeah, you
But
can
that's
kind of
so cool.
see, but they have the Carnation City up there and then, it's very cute. They did an amazing job and they did it so quickly.
Yeah.
It all happened so fast. Yay, good job, artists.
Yeah, thanks for the update.
Did you also want to talk, because they're activating the alley a little bit too, in the paseo at the block party.
Yes, they are. So that is going to be in collaboration with the ZAG project, which they're going to be doing an art thing as well. They're going to be painting a bunch of floor mats, like welcome mats. So people can come in and paint them and we'll have some, not stencils, but have some art supplies there for people to do that. And then they're also going to be back there talking about the whole project. So people will be from, I forget what the company is called who's helping out with it, but there will be a number of people back there talking through everything with people and kind of the vision of what's to come in downtown Inglewood, or the hope of the vision of what's to come. So I don't know exactly what's going on back there other than that, but I think it's going to be amazing.
And it's all free.
Yes.
There'll be a lot going on back there.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Cool, thanks. All right, let's adjourn at 6:49.
Thanks, Leah.
Thanks, Leah.
Thanks, Beth.
Bye, guys. I'll be there next time in person. Sorry.
I know. One's weird and one's weird. And one is in like